It was the Roaring '20s. Many young men made fortunes in the markets, some more honestly than others. The most ambitious of these men were drawn to the community of Piedmont. Piedmont was known as the City of Millionaires. It had the most millionaires per square mile of any place in the country. Great men built great mansions with great gardens, sporting solid, thick, manly trunks. And they also had some beautiful big trees. One young man in particular was determined to make a name for himself.
Hey, Grandpa Gatsby! Can you tell me another story about when you were young?
Well, Pat, why don't I tell you the story about the first time I moved to Piedmont. The year was 1923 and Piedmont had just become a city.
Is this another story about how you met Grandma at the first spring fling party?
Not exactly. This is the story of how I met and fell in love with a girl named Daisy. I first met her in the casual carriage pool line. She was so beautiful. Every day on the way to work, I would line up and just look at her beauty. One day I worked up the nerve. I even got in the car with her. Well, no, I don't think I ever got in the car with her, but I fell in love with Daisy.
So, Grandpa Gatsby, how did you get Daisy to fall for you?
Well, Pat, I took jazzercise. I wanted to impress Daisy. It was before the daily method. It was a dance class.
Oh, kind of like Dancing with the Stars.
Not exactly. It was dancing, but without the stars and all the costume malfunctions. You see, it was actually called the Charleston size. It was the Charleston. The Charleston was all the rage, and Daisy was the best Charleston girl in town. And I thought, well, if I could just take this class, I could impress her. And oh, Pat, if you could have seen that Daisy. She was such a beauty. Legs that went on for a mile. Oh, I couldn't stop staring at her, and I think I learned the Charleston, and I think Daisy was smitten with me. I'll tell you.
Grandpa Gatsby, this is getting boring. What about the gangsters?
Oh, Pat.
Did anybody get shot?
Pat, I was just getting to that part. You see, back in the 1920s, the government outlawed alcohol, even drinking.
You mean they even outlawed Mommy's white wine?
Even the Rombauer. We had to go to a place called a speakeasy, Pat.
But what's a speakeasy?
Well, it's a secret place where otherwise law-abiding citizens go after work to get the edge off.
Oh, like Mommy's book club?
Not exactly.
Like a Wildwood Dads Club meeting?
Yeah, but more civilized. You see, there was a market in town called Dingleberry's. Dingleberry's was owned by the local crime boss, Al Capone, and run by Al Davis. The store sold dry goods, novelties during the day, but at night it was a speakeasy. I would go to Dingleberry's every night in hopes of seeing Daisy there. That place was always popular. It was at Dingleberry's that I decided to ask Daisy to marry me. But things didn't ever work out between Daisy and me. She was too busy running for school board and didn't have time for a relationship. But I never gave up trying to win her over.
But, Grandpa Gatsby, what about the gangsters already?
Oh, right, Pat, I was getting to that part. Do you remember that character, Al Capone? Well, he was hard for money, and he had a piece of land in Moraga Canyon. I think you guys might call that Blair Park. He had a kind of a youth sports complex, a soccer field and a baseball diamond. Well, I bought that from him to impress Daisy.
Ooh. You mean you bought the whole Moraga Canyon? Did you build a big house on it for her?
Not exactly. I just bought the land and I tore out those sports fields and I built a dog park for Daisy Shih Tzu named Poopy Doo.
Okay, Grandpa, but what about the gangsters?
Oh, right. Sorry about that, Pat. Well, you see, one thing Al Capone didn't tell me was that hidden in that park of his was his illegal distillery. And one day I caught Daisy and Al in that distillery. And finally realized she probably did not love me. She loved the wildlife, gangsters with their big guns. So I called in the Piedmont police to break up Al's bootlegging gang.
Gangsters in Piedmont?
Yep. Al Capone was eventually arrested in town and taken to Alcatraz. And then I took over Dingleberries. I eventually fired that Al Davis. And once Prohibition was repealed, I decided to sell overpriced sandwiches to the local youths. Couldn't keep the Rumbauer Chardonnay on the shelves. I had a sandwich named the Williamson, a 2-foot-long grinder.
But did Daisy marry Al Capone?
No, she eventually married an educated man from Stanford. It was too late for me, so I decided to invest my fortune in education. And I built 3 elementary schools for Piedmont. Havens. Wildwood. Beach.
Do you know why Beach School never got completed?
Well, you see, everything fell apart after the Great Depression. In fact, they had to turn schoolmates into a soup kitchen. If it wasn't for the money raised from the pancake line, I don't think they ever would have gotten the school completed.
But at least Beach is completed now, right?
Not exactly.
Because of the dedication and generosity of parents and grandparents over the past 100 years, we have great schools and a great community here in Piedmont. Enjoy Spring Fling, and please give generously to support our schools and our community.
Greetings, denizens of Spring Fling 2012, A Great Gatsby. I'm your reporter, Bob Williamson, with the Wildwood Dads Club News Network, and we're interviewing your children for Spring Fling, which is based on The Great Gatsby, perhaps the most depressing book in modern American literature. Let's see what these kids have to say. What is Spring Fling?
It's a giant party.
A really, really big party.
A tri-school fundraiser.
I don't really know.
Is your mom involved in Spring Fling?
Yeah.
Does she talk to you?
Yes.
Well, why do you think we have Spring Fling every year?
So every year we can have money?
Because our schools need more money for art supplies and teachers.
Do you know why we have Spring Fling every year?
Why?
What is the theme of this year's Spring Fling?
I have no idea.
Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby?
Very good. You seem to know a lot about The Great Gatsby. So let's talk about it a bit, okay?
Okay.
So in the book, The Great Gatsby, there's a green light at the end of Daisy's East Egg dock. And do you think that light represents hope? Hope for substance. Something real or more meaningful, but somehow barely visible through the amoral haze and social decay of the times, resulting from the uninhibited pursuit of wealth and pleasure. Or was it just a green light?
I think it was just a green light.
Can you say that again?
Not really. You know, the Great Gatsby was a very wealthy man. If the Great Gatsby were alive today, where do you think he'd live?
New Jersey. Spain. In Mexico. Disneyland.
Some foreign country. With nice beaches. Here.
At a palace. See a view.
Anywhere he wanted to.
Back in the 1920s, you know, there was no television and no electronics. So what do you think kids did for fun?
Play at the parks maybe, or...
They read and played games on the street. Sleep.
What do you think a flapper is?
A type of board.
I think it's like a shoe that goes up and down like flip-flop, like flap-flap.
Well, who do you think's a bigger flapper, your mom or your dad?
Can you explain to me what's a flapper first?
Absolutely not. And who's a bigger flapper, your mom or your dad?
My dad.
When's the last time your parents went to a speakeasy?
Last night. Yesterday at 8. 2 nights ago.
How long ago did women get the right to vote?
20 years ago?
15 or 10. 20 years ago.
80 years ago? A long time ago. It took a while.
And who's your favorite gangster?
Al Capone.
Al Capone.
Oscar the Grouch.
Al Davis.
The Raiders.
My dad. Eminem.
Who's your favorite gangster?
Jeff Wheeler. Bob Nick Bain. Garrett Keating. John Ching.
And what was so great about the Great Depression?
There was nothing great about it. It was a bad thing. It wasn't great at all? Nothing.
Do your parents do the Charleston?
Maybe.
Where do they do the Charleston?
On the top floor.
In my bed. At home.
Do you think the new beach school will ever get finished?
Yes. Maybe not by next year, but yeah, I think it'll be finished.
Do you think the new beach school will ever get finished?
No. Not happening.
What's your favorite subject in school?
Recess.
Recess. PE.
Math.
No, really.
Math.
When you get married and you have beautiful wedding pictures taken, who's going to take them?
Brian Malek's photography.
When you get an icy, where do you get it from?
Mulberries.
Mulberries.
Mulberries. Mulberries.
Mulberries.
Mulberries.
Mulberries.
And who takes you?
Myself.
Beautiful, don't you know, no, no. Live your life, live your life. Let that love inside. It's your life, it's your life. Your beauty's deep inside, inside you. Don't let them bring you down, no. The beauty is inside of you. Don't let them bring you down, no. Oh, oh.
My sandwiches aren't overpriced. She loved the wild guys, the
gangsters.
The gangsters, the guys with the big guns. That's all I can remember. Oh, I see. Daisy Shih Tzu named Poopy Doo. Poopy Doo.
Okay, what's next? Poopy Doo, okay. Okay, back.
They're gonna surprise them. They're gonna look surprised. Ah! That's my news helicopter. It's coming to pick me up later.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yes, it is. That's the Wildwood Dads Club news helicopter.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it lands on top of the police station.